Have you ever stood on a New York City street, craned your neck back, and just felt completely awestruck by the sheer scale of the buildings around you? These metal and glass giants didn't just appear overnight. Their story is a tale of ambition, innovation, and the race to the sky that forever changed not just New York, but the entire world. Let's rewind the clock. Picture the late 1800s. Cities were getting crowded, but buildings could only go so high. The weight of traditional brick and stone construction was the limiting factor. Then, everything changed with a revolutionary idea: the steel frame. Instead of walls holding up the building, a strong, lightweight steel skeleton could bear the load, allowing architects to dream bigger and build higher than ever before. This wasn't just a new construction technique. It was the key that unlocked the vertical city. And in 1902, New York got its first true architectural celebrity, the Flatiron Building. It wasn't the tallest, but its unique triangular shape wedged onto a tiny plot of land was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. It sliced through the air like the prow of a great ship, capturing the public's imagination and proving that a building could be more than just functional. Space, it could be a work of art. The Flatiron became an instant icon, a symbol of a new, daring, and modern New York. It was the first skyscraper many people recognized by name, setting the stage for the architectural drama that was about to unfold. With the steel frame and the public's fascination ignited, a new kind of competition was born, the race for the title of the tallest building in the world. This wasn't just about corporate pride. It was a declaration of power and progress. Architects and developers in Lower Manhattan started one-upping each other. The Singer Building shot up, only to be surpassed by the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company Tower. Each new record holder was a headline, a spectacle that drew crowds and cemented New York's status as the world's most dynamic city. The sky was no longer the limit. It was the new frontier. This race reached a new level of grandeur with the completion of the Woolworth Building in 1913. Nicknamed the Cathedral of Commerce, its Gothic-inspired terracotta facade and opulent lobby were breathtaking. For 17 years, it held the title of the world's tallest. But the Roaring Twenties demanded even greater heights. This culminated in an epic duel between 40 Wall Street and the Chrysler Building, which secretly added its iconic spire to claim the crown. But its reign was short-lived. Just 11 months later, a new king rose above them all, the Empire State Building. Completed in 1931, it was an engineering marvel and a profound symbol of hope and resilience during the Great Depression. It stood as the world's tallest for nearly 40 years, becoming the definitive skyscraper. The legacy of these early New York towers is truly global. The principles of steel frame construction and vertical urban living pioneered on that small island have been exported to every corner of the planet. From the Burj Khalifa in Dubai to the Shanghai Tower, every modern skyline owes a debt to the innovators who first dared to scrape the New York sky. They didn't just build buildings. They invented the blueprint for the modern metropolis. The next time you see a skyline, remember the pioneers in New York who first showed us how to reach for the clouds. The Roaring 20s and 30s in New York City. This wasn't just a time of flapper dresses and swinging jazz clubs. It was an era that completely reshaped the city as Skyline and defined its aesthetic for generations to come. This was the Art Deco era, the golden age of New York design. Picture this: the 1920s. World War I is over, the economy is booming, and a sense of optimism fills the air. This period, known as the Jazz Age, was a cultural explosion. New music, new dances, and a new modern way of life were taking hold. And all this energy, all this forward-thinking spirit, needed a visual language to match. That language was Art Deco. It was bold, it was luxurious, and it was unapologetically modern. It was the perfect style for a city that saw itself as the center of the world. When you think of the New York skyline, what do you see? I bet some of the first images that pop into your head are the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, and Rockefeller Center. These aren't just tall buildings. They are masterpieces of Art Deco architecture. The Chrysler Building, with its gleaming terraced crown and eagle-like gargoyles, looks like a cathedral dedicated to the automobile age. The Empire State Building, for decades the tallest in the world, pierces the clouds like a sleek, powerful needle. And Rockefeller Center, a city within a city, is a symphony of coordinated Art Deco design, from its towering structures to the famous statue of Prometheus. These buildings weren't just places to work. They were monuments to ambition, innovation, and the soaring spirit of a new America. So, what makes Art Deco so distinctive? It's all in the details. Look closely at these buildings, and you'll find a feast for the eyes. The style celebrated ornamentation, but in a new, streamlined way. Forget fussy, old-world decorations. Art Deco was all about clean lines, sharp angles, and powerful geometric shapes. Think of zigzags, chevrons, and sunburst motifs, patterns that suggested movement and energy. And the materials? Only the best would do. Architects and designers used luxurious materials like stainless steel, chrome, and exotic woods and marbles. These shiny, reflective surfaces captured the light and added to the feeling of glamour and opulence. It was a style that was both elegant and industrial, a perfect reflection of the machine age. But Art Deco was more than just pretty patterns and shiny metals. It was packed with symbolism. The sleek, vertical lines that draw your eye upwards symbolized progress and reaching for the future. The emphasis on speed, seen in streamlined forms inspired by locomotives, airplanes, and ocean liners represented the fast pace of modern life. This was a style that shouted power, optimism, and the belief that humanity, through technology and industry, could achieve anything. It was the visual manifestation of the American dream, built in steel and stone, right in the heart of New York City. Even though the peak of Art Deco was nearly a century ago, its influence is still everywhere in New York. You can see it in the lobbies of historic hotels, the typography on old signs, and even in contemporary jewelry and fashion design. The principles of bold geometry and streamlined elegance continue to inspire architects and artists today. Art Deco gave New York its iconic, powerful silhouette. It taught us that a building could be more than just a structure. It could be a piece of art, a symbol of its time, and a source of inspiration for the future. The golden age of New York design may have passed, but its legacy is etched forever into the city's soul, taking a deep dive into the concrete canyons of New York City, but not just any version of it. We're rewinding the clock to the years after World War II, a time when the city's skyline underwent a radical transformation. This is the story of how modernism, a bold and controversial architectural movement, fell from grace and then, surprisingly, rose again. Before the war, New York's iconic buildings, like the Empire State and the Chrysler Building, were draped in Art Deco glamour. They were all about intricate details, spires reaching for the heavens, and a sense of romantic grandeur. But after 1945, the mood shifted dramatically. The world had changed, and so did our idea of what a building should be. The new mantra was form follows function. Decoration was seen as frivolous, a relic of a bygone era. The future was about efficiency, clean lines, and stark, honest materials like glass and steel. This wasn't just a local trend. It was fueled by a wave of brilliant minds fleeing Europe, architects who had pioneered modernism decades earlier. Giants like Ludwig Mies van der Rohe and Le Corbusier brought their revolutionary ideas to America's doorstep. They imagined cities of towering glass boxes, rational and orderly. And in New York, a city booming with post-war optimism and corporate power, they found the perfect canvas. You can't talk about this era without mentioning two game-changing structures. First, the United Nations headquarters. Completed in 1952, its famous Secretariat building is a massive green glass slab rising above the East River. It was designed by an international committee, including Le Corbusier, and it symbolized a new world order, transparent, collaborative, and forward-looking. It was a building that was less about a nation and more about a global ideal. Then, just a few years later, in 1958, came the Seagram building on Park Avenue. Designed by Mies van der Rohe, this is the undisputed masterpiece of corporate modernism. A sleek bronze and glass tower set back from the street in its own elegant plaza. It's the definition of less is more. The Seagram building wasn't just an office. It was a statement. It proclaimed that the company within was powerful, sophisticated, and ruthlessly modern. Soon, Park Avenue was lined with imitators, and the glass box skyscraper became the ultimate symbol of corporate America. These weren't just buildings. They were monuments to power, ambition, and the capitalist dream, visible for miles. But as with any revolution, a counter-revolution was brewing. By the 1970s, people started to push back. Critics argued that these modernist towers were cold, impersonal, and alienating. They felt that these glass boxes ignored history, context, and the human desire for warmth and character. The phrase glass box went from a compliment to an insult. People missed the texture of brick, the charm of ornament, the very things modernism had sought to erase. The movement that had promised a utopia was now being blamed for creating sterile, soulless cityscapes. The fall of modernism had begun. So, what is its legacy today? It's complicated. For decades, modernist was a dirty word in architecture. But time has a funny way of changing our perspective. Now, we look back at buildings like the Seagram and the UN headquarters not as cold boxes, but as elegant, beautifully crafted historical artifacts. Architects and the public have come to appreciate their minimalist beauty, their structural honesty, and their optimistic spirit. There's a growing movement to preserve these mid-century marvels. They are no longer just symbols of corporate power, but key chapters in our collective urban story. Modernism's rise is this newfound appreciation, a recognition that its radical vision, for all its flaws, gave New York City some of its most defining and enduring landmarks. So next time you're walking through Midtown Manhattan, look up. Look past the flashing billboards and notice those sleek, unadorned towers. They tell a fascinating story of a city and a world reinventing itself. Have you ever looked at a city's skyline and seen more than just buildings? Have you seen a story of resilience, of hope, of a community rising from ashes? That's the story of New York City, September 11, 2001, a date etched in history. The collapse of the Twin Towers wasn't just the fall of two buildings. It was a wound in the heart of a city and a shockwave felt across the globe. In the dust and debris, a void was left not just in the skyline but in the collective spirit. For a moment, the world held its breath. How does a city, how does a nation, recover from something so immense? New York's answer wasn't to hide the scar, but to build upon it. From the very beginning, the conversation was about more than just steel and glass. It was about memory, honor, and a declaration of defiance. The World Trade Center site had to be reborn. At its heart now stands the magnificent One World Trade Center, often called the Freedom Tower. Soaring to a symbolic 1,776 feet, it's not just a skyscraper. It's a testament to endurance. It reclaims the sky, a beacon of light and forward momentum. And where the towers once stood, you'll now find the 9/11's Memorial and Museum. Two reflecting pools trace the exact footprints of the Twin Towers. Water cascades endlessly into the voids, a powerful and moving tribute to the lives lost. It's a space for quiet reflection, ensuring we never forget. This sacred ground proves that rebuilding isn't about erasing the past, but about honoring it as we build the future. It's about turning a place of tragedy into a place of profound peace and remembrance. But New York's rebirth didn't stop at ground zero. The spirit of innovation that defines this city took a powerful new direction. The 21st century brought a new focus: sustainability. Architects began to design with the planet in mind. Suddenly, the skyline was dotted with sleek new towers boasting LEED certifications. Buildings like the Bank of America Tower at One Bryant Park and the New York Times Building became pioneers in green architecture, incorporating rainwater harvesting, incredible energy efficiency, and eco-friendly materials. It was a statement. New York isn't just building taller. It's building smarter and greener. This was a city looking toward a healthier, more sustainable future for everyone. And the evolution continues. Look west towards the Hudson River and you'll see a city within a city, Hudson Yards. This massive development, built over a working rail yard, is a marvel of modern engineering and ambition. With its striking centerpiece, the vessel, and the sky-high observation deck at Edge, it has completely redefined Manhattan's West Side. It's a hub of culture, commerce, and living. And you can't miss One Vanderbilt standing proudly next to Grand Central Terminal. This super-tall skyscraper seamlessly blends into the historic fabric of the city while pointing decisively toward the future. Its unique sky-high attraction, Summit One Vanderbilt, offers an immersive, artistic experience with unparalleled views connecting people to the city in a whole new way. These projects show that New York's story is one of constant, dynamic change. Ultimately, the architecture of New York City is its autobiography written in steel, glass, and stone. From the solemn voids of the 9/11's Memorial to the gleaming spire of One World Trade, from the green towers of Midtown to the ambitious vision of Hudson Yards, every new structure tells a part of this incredible story. It's a story of a city that was brought to its knees but refused to stay down. A city that chose hope over despair, innovation over stagnation, and community over division. The skyline is more than just a collection of buildings. It's a powerful symbol of the unbreakable human spirit. It's New York, strong, resilient, and always looking up. We peeling back the layers of New York City to uncover the architectural secrets that hide in plain sight. We all know the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty, but what about the forgotten stories etched into the very stones of the city? Let's go exploring. Our first stop is a place millions pass through every year, but few truly know: Grand Central Terminal. Did you know that beneath the hustle and bustle there's a labyrinth of hidden tunnels and secret platforms? The most famous secret, though, is right out in the open. Just outside the Oyster Bar is the Whispering Gallery. Stand in one corner, have a friend stand in the opposite corner, and whisper into the wall. Thanks to the unique acoustics of the arches, they'll hear you as if you're standing right next to them. It's an architectural marvel and a little bit of New York magic. Now, let's journey back in time. Way back. While skyscrapers define the modern skyline, the city's oldest surviving residence tells a different story. Welcome to the Morris Jumel Mansion in Washington Heights. Built in 1765, this elegant home has seen it all, from serving as George Washington's headquarters during the Revolutionary War to hosting lavish parties for the city's elite. Walking through its halls, you can feel the weight of history and imagine a New York of rolling hills and dirt roads, long before the first skyscraper ever broke ground. It's a stunning reminder of the city's colonial roots. But not all of New York's history is so perfectly preserved. All over the 5 boroughs, you'll find magnificent ghosts of the past abandoned or repurposed structures with incredible stories. Think of the Lowe's Wonder Theater's grand movie palaces from the 1920s, some of which now sit silent, their ornate interiors gathering dust, while others have been transformed into churches or retail spaces. Or consider the abandoned City Hall subway station, a breathtaking masterpiece of tile and glasswork that passengers on the 6 train can still glimpse if they know where to look. These forgotten places are like time capsules, each one holding a piece of the city's soul. It's easy to get caught up in the big picture of New York, but the real beauty is often in the details. Next time you're walking around, look up. You'll spot gargoyles peering down from old office buildings, intricate ironwork on fire escapes, and ghost signs, faded, hand-painted advertisements from a century ago still visible on brick walls. These small details are the fingerprints of the artisans and builders who shaped the city. They're hidden gems that tell a story of craftsmanship and a time when every building was a work of art. Most tourists walk right by them, completely unaware of the history they're missing. What I love most about New York's architecture is this constant conversation between the old and the new. You'll see a sleek glass skyscraper reflecting the facade of a 19th century brownstone across the street. A modern plaza might be built around the preserved archway of a historic building that once stood there. This coexistence isn't accidental. It's the dynamic spirit of New York. The city doesn't just erase its past. It builds upon it, creating a unique urban tapestry where centuries live side by side on the same block. It's a living museum, constantly evolving, but always connected to its roots. So the next time you're in New York, I challenge you to look beyond the guidebooks. Look for the whispers of the past in the architecture around you. You'll find a richer, more fascinating city than you ever imagined. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through New York's hidden history. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. See you next time.